Yo, hold up. Wait a minute. Why do you threaten to ban Phil McCracken? Why has this happened? Alright, that's the intro music done. Get into the stream in a second. So yeah, Akis, what did he get? What did he threaten to ban him for? Asking questions. What did he ask? What kind of questions did he ask? Imagine banning someone. Imagine banning a channel member. That's so embarrassing. He literally paywalled his stream so he wouldn't have to answer questions. And now he's mad. He's being asked questions through the paywall. That's nuts. I'd be double embarrassed.
Stings, doesn't it?
Also, yeah, I need you guys to answer me if you can hear the soundboard or not. So I'm going to press it again and let me know if you can actually hear the soundboard, because for some reason the audio doesn't come through my headphones anymore. But I think you guys can still hear it. So I'm going to play. I'll play this one of my favorite.
Praying, boy.
So if you guys can hear that, please let me know.
My sources that I made it the fuck up.
So if you guys can't hear that, let me know as well, because I can see it appear on the screen, but the audio doesn't come through my headphones. Why is Starmer anti-human rights and socialism? Probably. Yeah, that sounds like him. That sounds like him. So yeah, there's that. Audio's fine, good, because it doesn't come through my headphones anymore. So there's that. So yeah, it looks like it might be. Well, Phil McCracken might be game over. But yeah, no, I don't know, it's a bit weird, but you know, we move on it. What we're supposed to do at that point, because yeah, you can't make a paywall system and then get mad when people breach your paywall. I'll be honest. He pointed out Starmer didn't answer one question, as the spoonbender stated. Must have been Starmer's speech he was talking about. I see. Oh, this one. Yeah, I got that one. There's someone else who's a big fan of this one, to be
Brother,
fair.
What's that?
This is my favourite one. That's my favourite sound effect. Use that in real life. But yeah, you know, when it comes to him, like, you can't make a paywall thing and then get mad when people breach your paywall. People are happy to pay money to troll you. You know. You can't do that. You know, that's the part with the bite. You hid behind a paywall, and now you get, you know, you have to deal with a guy who's happy to pay to troll you. That's on you, Chief. Could have left it as is. He could have had it like every other streamer has it, which is open chat. The majority of streamers that I've seen don't even use a paywall thing, and these are people with way more subscribers than him, way more live stream viewers than him. But you know, his argument of he can't find channel mods is garbage. You know, he's paywalled it. You know, bro thinks he's the FT, but it's enough talking about that geezer anyways. Never good to give minutes of your time, not especially on the start of the stream, to someone who's a bit of a I don't respect him anyways, but yeah, you know, I think on some issues he's quite good. On most issues he's pretty bad, and yeah, we can discuss that in the stream or another day, to be honest with you. But yeah, no, I got lots of discuss, to be fair. I've got loads of tabs open. I managed to get through like 3 videos before the stream started, so I'm actually relatively okay with that. But I think tomorrow I'm gonna have a lot. I don't know what kind of teacher he was, to be fair. Maybe he was good, maybe he was very bad. I don't know. Well, I was my team won the FA Cup though, so I'm pretty gassed about that. But when it comes to criticisms, I was only trying to keep it PG. You know, I wouldn't. I'm not going to like swear or anything like that towards them. They do annoy me, but they're the type of people to call people who criticise Labour Tory enablers. But then they also criticise Labour at times as well. So I guess they're also Tory enablers. I don't know where the line is, because under their logic, Femi would be a Tory enabler, but they don't call Femi a Tory enabler. I wonder why that is. But yeah, anyways. He banned him before. That's so embarrassing. That's so embarrassing, honestly. Oh, if you got a timestamp for that, let me know. I'd watch that. That's so funny. If you have a timestamp for that, let me know. I'll actually watch it. That's so embarrassing. Imagine doing that to someone. Do you know what? Let's see. Oh, I don't know if you would have left a comment, but it doesn't matter anyways. Let's get into topics because I'm on a time crunch. So some of the stuff I've discussed in videos, I'm going to do separate videos on it. I mean, to be fair, yeah, I don't, like I said, if someone's critical of Labour, calling them Tory enablers just shows you how kind of insecure they are about Labour. If they were confident in Labour's policies, they would either state, nah, these are the ways that Labour are different to the Conservative Party. These are the ways they're going to improve things significantly. And if they can't do that, then, it shows you that they're just insecure about it. If you're secure in your vote, if you're secure in your beliefs, you would say, look, this is what I believe about the party, and this is their policies, etc. You wouldn't act the way they're acting. So, in reality, I think it's down to insecurities. But that's a whole different conversation that I think we'd have to have another day. So yeah, and when it comes to that stuff, like I said before,
that's right. Don't blame yourself. Blame me.
They can blame me. They can blame me for it. I don't really care that much. Because at the end of the day, you're pushing a guy who's a fraud. You're pushing a guy who's a fraud. And you could say he's better than the other fraud. Facts. 100% facts. But if people are criticising one of the frauds and you're not happy with that, that's on you. That's not our fault. You're telling us to vote for a guy who's consistently lied. If people aren't happy with that, or if people are happy to point out the lies, then, that's not your fault. You shouldn't be backing a liar. Unless you're going to make the argument they're all like that. Yeah, Phil, what happened then? You might as well tell us in the comments. Because it does sound pretty funny, to be fair. Just bear with me 1 sec, because I'm about to cough. That's better. So yeah, anyways, I was going to discuss, let's see how far I can get into topics, to be fair, because like I said, I'm on a time crunch. So I might not be monitoring chat a ton, but I'll do my best. I'll do my best. So let's cut to this. I'll read off comments off my phone. So, Labour's New Deal for working people has been heavily diluted with key pledges scrapped. So no increase in maternity, paternity leave. Paternity leave, I think, is already a joke. It's only like 2 weeks. Crap. No ban on 0 hours contracts. Again, they did change that, to be fair, and say they were going to ban exploitative 0 hours contracts. But again, I don't know what that means. And then you've got no increase in sick pay. Again, the lack of sick pay is one of the main reasons why COVID had such a big impact on this country, is because people couldn't afford to take sick days, so they didn't want to get tested for COVID. That's one of the main problems we ran into. Had people been paid out properly for sick pay, or even gotten like a decent amount of money for sick pay, we wouldn't be in this mess that we're in. But here we are. It's more, this is the union saying. So Labour again revised. This is dated, yeah. So it's dated on the 25th. Labour again revised the New Deal for working people. It has more holes in it than Swiss cheese. The number of caveats and gouts means it's in danger of becoming a bad boss's charter. This comes back of the unions actually agreeing a deal with Labour. So, I've got it now, I don't have it, but, I think it's here actually. Yeah, here it is. Labour and the unions reach an agreement on workers' rights. So this is on the 14th of May. They got to this agreement. I'm not sure if they actually quoted her, to be fair. I wonder if she's mentioned here. United States, Sharon said the unions had been listened to. Workers' voice had heard what she described as a deadline at the summit. The Labour leader and senior team met the leaders for crunch talks to thrash out a deal. One union source told The Guardian the General Secretaries had presented a united front and told the Labour front bench they should agree to the language agreed in the joint policy, blah, blah, blah. And so, they seemed happy with the whatever outcome they got from these talks. And then, boom. A reminder that if lifelong trade unionist Sharon Graham has listened to a very online co and withdraw funding, that they should have something influence this. So this guy's saying, like, they're a bunch of idiots for not listening to, Starmer and stuff regarding the vote, regarding what the union should do. And then you find out this Labour revised down the deal. So again, what's the reason? What's the strategy behind this? That's what I want to know. Like, I don't get it. I'm confused, guys. We need to ask, why has the Knight done this? I genuinely don't get it. Because it don't make sense. It don't make sense to water down this policy unless you're kowtowing to business owners, unless you're kowtowing to the rich, effectively, the wealthy. I don't get it. And this from Gabrielle Pogrund, saying Labour has rebranded its flagship package of workers' rights and employment reforms. The new deal will now be known as Labour's plan to make work pay. I mean, this is something that the Conservative Party say, the Tories plan to make work pay. I mean, Starmer wants to sharpen core messages of putting more money, putting money in people's pockets and reassure business. But you can't do both. You can't be pro-work and pro-business. These things are ultimately against each other. The business owner wants to give the least amount of money possible for the most amount of productivity. And, let's be honest, the worker wants to do the least amount of productivity for the most amount of pay. That's how it works, generally. So I don't get, this whole thing of trying to be pro-both. You can't be pro-both. And Labour was meant to be the party of the workers. Traditionally, that was where its roots came from. You can be middle class and still be a worker. You can be, you can be upper middle class or even lower middle class, whatever, and be a working person who deserves to have union rights and deserves to have protections. You can still represent those people as the Labour Party. That's fine. But what you can't do is represent the business owners, the landowners, those sorts of people, because they're the ones who want to erode workers' rights, because they have a vested interest in it. This is why, exactly, Dalek, this is why we have unions. What's this? I apparently insulted and attacked someone by mentioning that he was English. Oh. Well, you got less of that, Phil. Less of that. You can't be doing that. You can't be accusing people of being English. You can't be using that as an insult. I want to cover the ICJ order to the ICJ ordering Israel to halt military action in Rafah.
The court finds that the current situation arising from Israel's military offensive in Rafah entails a further risk of irreparable prejudice to the plausible rights claimed by South Africa, and that there is urgency in the sense that there exists a real and imminent risk that such prejudice will be caused before the court gives its final decision. The court concludes, on the basis of the aforementioned considerations, that the circumstances of the case require to modify its decision set out in its order of March 28, 2024. The court records that in accordance with Article 75, paragraph 2 of its rules, when a request for the indication of provisional measures has been made, it has the power under its statute to indicate measures that are not in whole or in part other than those requested. In the present case, having considered the terms of the provisional measures requested by South Africa and the circumstances of the case, the court found that the measures to be indicated need not be identical to those requested. The court considered that, in conformity with its obligations under the genocide...
Yeah, different countries are starting to speak out and pushing for Palestinian statehood, which is great. There's massive respect to those countries because they are kind of bucking the trend here. And this is one of the things where, the Americans are not happy about Palestinian statehood. They don't want Palestinian statehood. Although they keep saying they back a two-state solution, they're fundamentally against it. Because when you have a country, inherently you have certain rights over sovereignty, and that's what Americans don't want That's what the American government doesn't want the Palestinians to have.
Convention. Israel must immediately halt its military offensive and any other action in the Rafah governorate which may inflict on the Palestinian group in Gaza conditions of life that could bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. The court recalls that in its order of January 26, 2024, it ordered Israel inter alia to, I quote, take effective measures to prevent the destruction and ensure the preservation of evidence related to allegations of acts.
I think it was Ireland, Portugal, and Norway, but I'm not sure about Portugal. You'd have to let me know in the comments on that one. I'm sure. I got 2 out of 3 right. I'm 90% sure.
In the scope of Article 2 and Article 3 of the Genocide Convention. End of quote.
Spain. I was so close. I was going to say Spain. I was so close. Spain makes more sense, actually, thinking about it.
In the present circumstances, the court is also of the view that
Ireland does recognise the sovereign right of Ireland. That is true. So, you know, Israel, on the back of that, carried on more bombing in residential areas in Rafah, despite what the ICJ have said. And, you know, Sky News have covered it, I think, okay-ish, you know, the ICJ's order. And then this is what the Americans had to say about this.
America should punish the ICC and put Karim Khan back in his place. And if the ICC is allowed to threaten Israel's leaders, we know that America will be next.
Why would America be next? Is it possible that America has also breached international law and maybe done things that they shouldn't have done?
There's a reason that we've never endorsed the International Criminal Court, because it is a direct affront to our own sovereignty. We don't put...
First Phil came for the English and no one spoke, and now he's going for the Irish and no one spoke again.
Any international body among or above American sovereignty, and Israel doesn't do that either. Congress is reviewing all of our options right now. We have some very aggressive legislation that we're going to...
This guy's a complete prick, honestly. Like, I know, look, I gotta watch my language.
I was really trying to keep it PG.
I was trying to keep it PG, but this guy's a prat. Honestly, you know, talking about American sovereignty and stuff, like, don't break international law, you dumbass. I want to cover Rishi Sunak's disaster class campaign as well, so I've got the video for it. I just need to, like, edit and upload. But this is really bad, guys. This is one of the most disastrous campaign launches in the history of the game, especially when he was the incumbent. He's the one that decided. He picked the date. He picked the day to announce the election, and he picked the date of the election. And his team are complete shambles. Like, I don't have the stuff on the soundboard to really emphasize how much of a shambles this is.
Prime Minister, we are just yards away from where the Titanic was built and designed. Are you captaining a sinking ship going into this election?
So if you look at what's happened over the past few weeks alone, you can see that our plan is working. Inflation has returned to normal. Energy bills just today, we received welcome news, are falling. Wages have been rising faster than prices for 10 months. And at the beginning of this year, our economy grew faster than pretty much all our major competitors. So whilst I know, of course, there's still more work to do and people are only just starting to feel the benefits, it's clear that the plan is working. So
why is he gone to the place where, or why is he near the place they built the Titanic? Why is the camera so shaky? It looks like he's on a ship. It doesn't make any sense. Like, the optics of this are just really bad, really bad. I don't get why his team have done this. You know, this guy is meant to be slick as hell. He's got those weird media campaigns he's always running, you know, with the graphics and stuff like that. Do you remember the Rushin, if you're there, you'll remember this. Remember the roundup or whatever it's called? You know, when they did the month thing where that guy sounded so bored and they had stupid copyrighted music on the video, so I got copyright claimed. Do you remember that? The roundup or something like that. I can't remember what it's called. Some of you guys might remember it, actually. It was on a live stream I did a while ago. It's when he kept flying around on a helicopter and stuff. And so the guy on the video sounded bored, the narrator. It sounded awful, like they got some sort of roadman to do it. It was hilarious. Oh, yeah, that was great. So that's what I mean. Like, this guy, his media team meant to be slick as hell. Like, what's going on? Like, I don't get what his team are up to. You know, Sunak will retreat from the campaign trail Saturday as today, spending the day at home in the constituency and in London. So in the constituency, his constituency's in like York, isn't it? That's well far from London. What's he going to do? Helicopter out there again? It doesn't make sense. I think he's looking at a soft restart, but we're 4 days in. We're 4 days in. Like, how can you have a relaunch 4 days in? It doesn't make sense. And then there's more.
and he should want to debate me. I want to debate him, and I hope that he takes up the offer.
He's sounding increasingly desperate, I have to say.
This is, Sunak demanding debates with Starmer, but like, it's like we know you're down in the polls. We know you're clipping at his heels, but he does sound a bit desperate, honestly. Especially when Sky News have been asking him to do like a solo thing, like a town hall type thing, which I think they're quite cool actually. The town hall type setups, like I think that's an American thing, I believe. But yeah, that's actually a cool thing. Like I hope they do that more in the UK, the town hall style setup. And yeah, it just keeps on going.
There are so many Tory MPs now that are falling like flies, I suppose. I think that 77? It's something like that now. And that is the most...
It's very close, Ian Dale. I believe it's 78. But it might have been accurate as time of recording.
Since 1997. We can all come up with reasons as to why that is.
Because they know it's over. They know they're cooked. I don't have their clips for this, apart from this one.
Start praying, boy.
Like, that's all I have. And I can't hear the audio from these either. It drives me nuts. I wish I could go back to hearing the audio for these. But, it gets worse.
And our chief political correspondent, John Craig, joins us now from Westminster. A fantastic end to the second day of campaigning for Rishi Sunak, with a growing exodus from the Conservative Party.
It's a record exodus, actually. We're up to 78.
78. And there might be more. There might be more that are leaving. So it's just, how's he going to find the candidates to replace them? I don't get it. They're going to run throughout, they're going to run throughout Great Britain, right? Because they can't run in all the time. They're going to run through GB. They've lost 100, almost 100 Conservative MPs who aren't going to stand. You're talking 78. It could go up to 80 or 90, depending on how the rest look at it. How are you going to replace all of those people? Because they weren't prepared for it. Because a lot of them didn't announce it publicly that they were going. I don't think we even know all of the ones that are standing down, to be honest. Sunak calls an election, takes a day off, and building a red wall, visiting the birthplace of the most famous sinking ship, and being made a fool of, announcing a GE. Slippery when we're... I mean, it's just crazy, isn't it? Like, his team are just garbage. Absolute garbage. What is like Isaac Lebedeau and the gang thinking? I don't get it. And I said in my video, like, this lot should be really careful here, because they're going to be associated with one of the worst campaigns in the history of the game, and they might not find employment in the future for a while. Because who the hell is going to hire them? Well, imagine looking at your CV. Okay, cool. You've done, work for, the Daily Mail. You were on Sunak's campaign. The one where he stood in the rain. Like, what? How are you going to, wow. Like, I just can't believe it, guys. Like, no. There'll be 30 Tories after the election. And there'll be, they'll bring back Boris, probably. But it's just, I've never seen a campaign run this badly in the history of my life. It's just so bad. I don't get it. It's so bad. It's just, he's trying to, portray this image of the economy recovering, and it's just not.
I believe that the world is in a more uncertain place than it's been in decades, and that we've got the right plan, that we're prepared to take bold action. That's what my track record says, and that's how we'll deliver a secure future for everyone, their families, and our country. That's what this election is about, and that's what I look forward to talking to you and your viewers about over the next few weeks.
A lot of people are suggesting that the real reason you chose to hold the general election sooner rather than later is that you're concerned the inflation figures that you're talking about will rise again before the end of the year, that might look worse. On top of which, your plans in relation to migration, those figures may also look worse as we go into the summer months. That is the real reason.
Well, no, that's not the reason.
I mean, it is. I mean, the migration figures, I think, come out in the autumn. They're going to look bad. You got more and more channel crossings that are going to happen. His Rwanda plan's going to be shown to be a complete shambles. The economy's gone up by, I think, 0.6%, but that's just after we've come out of technical recession. These are the best numbers they're going to get, I think, per quarter. And I think that's why they've jumped at it.
Real reason. And when it comes to the economy, of course, I know there's more work to do. I know that people are only just starting to feel the benefits of the changes that we've brought. And for some people, when they look at their bank balance at the end of every month, it will still be difficult. But we have undeniably made progress, and stability has returned. Inflation has returned back to normal. Wages have now been rising for months. We are now growing faster than most of our major competitors. Energy bills are coming down. So that really is progress, there is stability, and that's why we can now think about the future. And in an uncertain world, I believe that I'm the one that's prepared to take bold action, that we've got a clear plan, and that's how we'll deliver a secure future for everyone and their family.
Yeah, you don't have a plan. Like, we've seen your plan not succeed. We've seen it fail consistently. Like, you didn't deal with inflation. The economy's in a shambles. And, you know, they're comparing it to other countries. Which other country went through technical recession recently? In the G7, I think only Germany did. I think, and I don't know if Germany actually went through technical recession. I think they've only had, like, one bad quarter. American schools return home from summer recess. August. Anyone in Silicon may think the two are linked. It's possible, yeah. But I think he just got the good numbers. Like, his kids can start in a private school, like, you know, midway through the term. Like, that happens. Like, so I don't think it'll make that much of a difference if he wanted his kids to start a bit later on, especially when he can afford a tutor and stuff. So, you know, like, I don't think it's that bad, to be honest with you. Let's see. So he just keeps going.
Let's talk a little bit about the record, and I remind you of your 5 pledges or promises from January of last year. If we can focus on the NHS, when you made that pledge, waiting lists were at 7.21 million. Now they're 7.54 million. Prime Minister, they haven't been cut. They've gone up by over 300,000. Why have you failed there?
Yeah, and we haven't made as much progress on NHS waiting lists as I would have liked. This matters to me personally because I come from an NHS family, as we've discussed. My mum was a pharmacist, my dad was a GP.
I'll let him have the dad point, his dad being a GP. I'm not letting him say, oh, my mum was a pharmacist, which is part of the NHS. It's not. The pharmacies are private, and I think she ran a private what's it called, pharmacist. So no, I'm not letting him have that.
And I wish we had made more progress, but we are now making progress. As we discussed, I think when I was last on your show, the waiting lists have now fallen by around 200,000. And actually what the NHS have said, if it wasn't for industrial action that we had, they would have fallen by almost 500,000 more than that.
I wonder if they would have said, if we had, you know, medical professionals paid properly, if we had more staff, I'm sure the waiting list would have fell even quicker. You know, this idea that blaming, you know, striking staff because you refuse to pay them properly, that is just not it.
Too, and that would have, then we would have actually got them down as I'd wanted to. But you know, it was right that we took a sensible approach and found the time to resolve those disputes on public sector pay. But we're also doing other things. We're training more doctors and nurses now here at home than we've ever done before. NHS has never had a plan like that. We're making sure you can go.
Yeah, I think he said something about this. The new hospitals will be at the end of the 2020s, which. It's like, okay, but you said it would be done, you know, really next year we should have had, or no, yeah, this year we should have had the 40 new hospitals. Where are they?
See your pharmacist rather than your GP when you or your kids have a sore throat or an ear infection. That will speed up care.
I mean, that's okay if the pharmacists are trained properly to treat that kind of stuff. What you might end up with is people being mistreated if the pharmacists don't have the relevant training to diagnose sore throats and ear infections.
And we're also making sure that the next generation grows up smoke-free. Again, that's evidence that I'm prepared to take bold action. I've got a clear plan.
With the smoke-free thing, that's not going to happen either because he's cancelled that the legislation won't go through. The legislation won't go through because he's called an election. And, you know, a Sky News journalist being kicked out.
First campaign.
This is out of his campaign, so you think you'd want maximum people to see this, right? You'd want, you know, more and more people seeing your campaign launch. He's kicked out Sky News for some reason.
At a Conservative Party launch, this is where the Prime Minister is going to speak in the next few minutes, and I'm being forcibly removed. We just simply wanted to have access tonight at Sky News, but unfortunately we're told that because there are pool arrangements in place, we're not allowed to be here. This is, by the way, what we're trying to film is the campaign event where the Prime Minister is due to speak in the next couple of minutes. It's in front of Conservative activists. It's eventually trying to get across the message that we had in Downing Street today from the Prime Minister talking about...
It's also kind of weird Sky News made it that far into the building, to be honest. You think they would have to have credentials, especially if Rishi Sunak is there. So it's a bit weird they managed to make it that far in.
Stability. I'm sure he's going to talk about the decision he's made. But as you can...
Yeah, apparently the spying on bank accounts isn't going to go forward. You're right there. So that's one of the good things about the election being called early.
We just don't have access to it. It's not entirely clear why we don't have access to it. But, as I say, this was meant to be the campaign launch for the Prime Minister, for the Conservative leader, in front of party activists. in front of those loyalists who are going to support him during this campaign, who are going to go out and knock on doors, etc. The hope, of course, of the Prime Minister is this is a decision, a gamble that he's taken. So we're going to be put into an elevator here. Our bags are up here. We're probably going to have to leave at this stage because
it's just crazy. Why would you kick out Sky News, one of the big news organisations in the country? It doesn't make sense. But rest assured, gang, do you know who isn't stepping down? Jeremy Hunt. So we might see a Portillo moment because Jeremy Hunt might lose his seat. Might see the sitting Chancellor, lose his seat in the election. Wouldn't that be a sight to see him at 3 a.m. realising it's all over? And yeah, Rishi Sunak being confirmed he put plants in the audience for one of his campaign speeches or whatever it's called.
The topic came up again later in the day when the Prime Minister appeared at a campaign event in the marginal seat of Erewash in Derbyshire. This is what he had to say in a question and answer session at a biscuit distribution centre.
How do we stop the boats? Well, I'm very clear that requires bold solutions. That's why we need Rwanda. Got to make it crystal clear to everybody. If you come to our country illegally, you won't get to stay.
Of course, almost like that.
That's ball in your head, man, kicking Phil out of a Labour Party social meeting. What?
Question was served up for him, wasn't it? The way he knocked that for 6. And now we learn that 2 of the people standing
I get you.
around in high-vis vests were actually Conservative councillors, one of whom, it appears, wasn't even from the area. I don't know if that was the one who asked that question. But
yeah, he's stacking what's meant to be a Q&A session with Tory stooges, which is just crazy. Like, are you that afraid of the public? Like, especially when they asked him such a plant question about stopping the boats. Like, it's a McVitie's plant. They're going to be making biscuits. I don't think they're going to be that concerned about stopping the boats. In fact, they might want more people in the country so they can sell more product to them. So yeah, this from, what's his name? Brexit hardman Steve Baker. Which is a Christian reform boy, Steve Baker.
Do they really want a man with no plan who will take us back to square one, as we've been saying?
Surely square one is Liz Truss. Come on.
I mean, the thing is, like, Sunak has no plan, though. We've established this. Like, the only plan he's got is just a disaster. Taxes have gone up. Disposable income has gone down. Back to square one. It'd be back to square minus one, really. Liz Truss would be.
Square one is going back to a government that really doesn't know how to deal with the issues we've got. If we had a Labour government, do we really think they'd be facing up to the spending challenges of our age? Because
I mean, they're saying they are. I mean, you're not facing up to the challenges, given that you guys have led the economy into stagnation. We had a technical recession last year. This argument of, we're the ones that are going to face up to the problems. You guys made the problems. They exist predominantly because of you guys.
I've got to pause you there. I mean, spending is high after 14 years of Conservative government. Debt is high and rising. The tax
debt to GDP ratio is about 100%, is near 100%.
Burden is the highest it's been since World War II and projected to rise. And that's under the Conservatives.
Well, I'm grateful that you say that, because I've spent 14 years, as long as anyone's been willing to listen to me, talking about the trajectory of taxes, spending, debt and currency.
Whether you have or not, that's your government's record.
Oh, yeah.
And are you... I mean, it's...
Well, so I've been warning about these problems for the last 14 years. And it's like, so why didn't you do anything, you idiot?
Stings, doesn't it?
Why have you done nothing about this issue? It doesn't make any sense. If you're so obsessed with it, how come you did nothing? Did Baker back the Liz Truss budget? Does anyone know? Can anyone let me know in the comments? Did Baker back it? Because I swear to God, if he did, it's so over for him. I'm going to switch gears. We're going to be talking about the opposition, the leader of the opposition, the challenger, Keir Starmer. So Starmer, the word change, Starmer hopes a simple slogan will chime with exasperated nation. So we've gone from 3-word slogans to a 1-word slogan. I haven't agreed with my party's policies. I just vote for them. Who said that? You guys are wild in the comments. What is going on? What is going on over there? But he's hoping change will be the word that the voters want. So we go on. Big Wesley, as NJ calls him.
And secondly, we have been so careful in making sure the promises we make are promises we can keep and the promises that...
Things like House of Lords reform, there's no reason you can't keep that. Things like defending freedom of movement, Keir Starmer could have... It's not all about spending billions of pounds. He made a promise to Labour members, and on quite a few of those promises, whereas he broke them. That is a...
Fair. Paraphrasing...
trust issue, isn't it?
It's about a serious. It's about a serious plan, and it's about bringing.
But
our
it's
country
about trust.
By the way, I just say, Ben, he has led his party, and he has taken Labour on a journey to the extent that when Rachel Reeves talked about the importance of managing the public finance and money being tight, she got a standing ovation.
I appreciate that.
I mean, he didn't answer the question about the House of Lords reform.
He made a number of. You have to accept. He made a number of pledges that he hasn't kept.
Not only have circumstances changed, Ben, he has listened to the voters. The Labour Party doesn't exist.
So you're telling me the voters don't want a tax, going back to the old 50p tax rate on people earning over a certain amount of money. That you tell me the voters don't want capital gains tax rate to be the same rate as national insurance, income tax. You're telling me the voters do not want these things. Because if you are, you're lying, blood. Let's be real. You are actually lying at that point.
As a mutual appreciation society and to make ourselves feel good and self-righteous. We went through that and we got rejected in 2019.
You also went through a similar thing of quite listening to the voters and pushing centre-left to centre-right policies and you got rejected in 2015.
What we exist for is to be a vehicle for ordinary people in this country to make sure they get the same crack, the same chance, the same opportunities, the same security as the very wealthiest in our society.
But you're not going to do that, though, are you? Because you're not going to tax them enough so that you can actually fund schools properly, so that those kids can have a chance, just like kids that get sent to private school. You're not going to do enough to reduce class sizes. If equality of opportunity was the thing you were obsessed about, the number one thing you would do is make sure those schools were as good or near enough as good as private schools. You'd make sure kids got a ton of support. You would make sure that their home lives are stable, so that their parents don't have to work all day. So they can actually look after them and give them support when it comes to things like homework. There's so many other things you would be doing if you want equality of opportunity. That is not what you want. Let's be honest now. You can talk about it, just like they can talk about wanting to eradicate child poverty, right? If you want equality of opportunity, how are you keeping the two-child tax policy in place? The two-child cap in place? This is just bogus from Wesley. Absolute bogus. I think the captions on this clip, they're like, oh, look how easily Starmer falls apart. I don't think he fell apart that badly, mostly because the interviewers make the mistake of mentioning all the broken policies when they should really focus on the ones that aren't as financial, like the changing income tax, House of Lords reform, supporting freedom of movement, that kind of stuff. These are the ones they should focus on because they can't blame the economy on that.
It's not the only one, is it? You've also dropped pledges to abolish university tuition fees, increase income tax for the top 5% of earners, bring into public ownership the utilities. So are people right to worry that any promises you make now will be junked once you're in number 10?
Well, let me take that on head on, and thank you for putting it to me, because if you take, say, tuition fees, I do think the current system is unfair. I think it's unfair on students. I think it's unfair on universities. It needs to change.
But what you could do is you could increase the threshold that student loans need to be paid back. These are things you could do if you were that obsessed with it not being fair and you want to make at least minor reforms. That's something you could do.
And I did advocate getting rid of tuition fees. You're absolutely right about that. Now,
at least it's better than him denying when he said he supported common ownership of rail, mail and water. So at least he's acknowledging the fact that he did make these promises.
Damage has been done to the economy. We've got to make a choice because we've got waiting lists that are the best part of 8 million. The money is not available to do both 40,000 appointments every week to bring the waiting list down and tuition fees.
Okay.
I mean, the money is there. You just don't want to do it.
So I've had to hear me out because I do think this is very important. In the end, if you can't do both, you have to make a decision. Are you going to abolish tuition fees or are you going to bring down the waiting lists? I've taken a political choice. I accept that. People will judge me on that. I accept that. My choice, given the level of waiting lists, is to...
I think given the fact that the interviewer just didn't do a good enough job here, I think that this is actually a decent answer. I'll be honest. I know.
Stings, doesn't it?
Stings, doesn't it? I know, right? Because I've seen all the captions. I've tried to watch these. I don't think it's that bad an answer he's given here. Starmer is just the same as the Tories, evade and avoid the question. I mean, he answered it head on. He's saying, I did have to backtrack on it. To be fair to him, he's saying, look, that is a promise I made. It's something I want to get rid of. But I can't do it because of, we don't have enough money, which we know is nonsense. But to the normie voter, this actually looks good, I reckon. So yeah, I don't think this was the worst answer. Due to all the MPs not standing again and not all the seats covered, apparently the Conservatives are short 150 candidates. That's wild.
To bring those waiting lists down and put the NHS back on its feet, that means I can't abolish tuition fees.
Okay.
Now, you will say to me, well, that's a U-turn. It's the practical reality of the damage that the Tories have done to the economy.
It is a U-turn, I know.
Stings, doesn't it?
It is still a U-turn. You have U-turn on this policy.
And many people watching this will know that they wanted to do many things, but when they look at the costings, they can't do all of them. They've got to make a choice. What I want to do is be clear about what that choice is and to say it this side of the election so people can judge me. Is he right to prioritise the NHS over tuition fees? If you agree with him, then that might be a reason to vote for him. If you think no, I think we can leave the NHS on its face, on its knees, but get rid of abolish tuition fees. If you think that's the right choice, well, that's a difference of opinion. I've made my...
I think so. I think if you're a younger person, I think you'd look at the abolition of tuition fees. To be honest, I think that's the one you'd vote for. But he's making a calculated decision to appeal to kind of more people who are like 30s, 40s plus, who might have more hospital referrals, things like that, who are on waiting lists, who want to get checked out quicker. Whereas if you're younger, generally you don't need as many hospital appointments.
My choice in difficult circumstances because they've busted the economy, but it's I don't want to announce this after the election. I want people to be able to judge me. I've prioritised the NHS. That is my political choice, and people viewing this will have to decide whether I've made the right priority there. I think I have.
So I don't think that's the worst answer. I think, but she should have. I think the interviewer should have asked about the tax question. If money's the problem, why don't you raise more money by changing taxes? There's essentially no young voting Tories anyway, so it's a calculated move. Yeah, I agree with that. But if I was a young person, person now, I'll probably vote Green. I'll be real. I think Labour have got a good shot of winning my constituency regardless. And again, I've tried to speak to my local candidate. I asked her how you can achieve the high sustained growth in the G7, and she ignored my email. So if you're going to ignore my email before you're elected, why would I give you the time of day? Conservatives and Reform may merge, with Reform moving Conservatives further right. What would they call themselves? The Reformatives. The Conforms. Okay, hang on. We're cooking, guys. We're cooking. Wait. Okay, let's start a poll. If the Tories and Reform merge, what should... Okay, here we go. What should their name be? The Reformatives. Or... Okay, boom. There's a thing in the chat box. Why that's not dark, I don't know. Why would YouTube give you the option of a dark mode and not make the poll dark? I don't know. But okay, you guys answer me. Which one's better? There's more on this, Labour refusing to rule out raising tuition fees.
If you win the election, I'm assuming you want to be Education Secretary, would you raise tuition fees?
That is a really, really unpalatable choice. I do not want to have to do that. I absolutely don't, because when I speak to students across the country, what they tell...
No, not going to rule it out, clearly.
Who's the other person? Actually getting cobbled by two people like that. I mean, she's not ruling it out, to be fair, but it's pretty funny.
Across the country, when I speak to students across the country, what they tell choice.
Oh, there is there.
Across the country, what they tell.
No, not going to rule it out, clearly.
When I speak to students across the country, what they
there was a laugh in the audience as well.
Tell me is that increasingly they can't manage the cost of living. We need to look at all of the options around that, and I want to make sure.
So a complete non-answer. Also, they can't afford, the cost of living. That's to do with the maintenance loans then. If it's the case students can't afford the cost of living, you need to up those maintenance loans then. So again, that's a complete non-answer from Labour. And, it led to this question time panel audience member saying this.
Programme. Really want to listen to what Labour Party is going to say. I used to vote for Labour Party.
I wonder what he changed to and why.
And you've not answered any question at all. See, you've not answered. Look.
I saw people giving Bridget Phillipson, I think that's her name, a lot of stick over this, saying like, oh, you know, how dare this like minority person like speak out and whatever. Like, no, like I think some of the criticism you see online on people unhinged, she got caught out, and she knows it. Like, she didn't answer the questions. That's why she's pulling that face, because she don't know what to say.
I know my local MP, Taiwo Watebe. I've spoken. I know her very well. But I just want to hear what the Labour Party wants to say about a lot of stuff. Okay. But tonight you've said nothing. You've just given us vague answers. Just answer the question and just convince me to vote for you.
Okay. It's literally, this is how I feel. This is genuine how I feel about stuff. Like, just give me a reason. Like, give me good policies enough so I can vote with you with my conscience intact. That's all I'm asking for. Like, actually answer questions, give us policies and stuff like that. But they don't do it. And, you know, they turn around and act like, you know, it's not their fault. They, you know, like...
I know you understand.
But the reality is, like, votes are earned. And, you know, this man's saying, look, I want to vote for you, but you got to give me something here. Like, you got to give me a reason.
I'm talking ideals.
I don't get it. I don't get how people can just vote for a party and not look at things like ideals or anything like that, to be honest with you. I don't get it. Let's see. It looks like the majority of people are going for Conform UK. We're 10 votes in. We've got 29 people. So I want to get to 20 votes and I'll close the poll.
I want you. You know what I mean? Convince me. Tell me how.
Yeah. Okay.
It looks like the majority of the audience, you know, kind of agree with that. The amount of applause he got there is, you know, convince the audience, and that's your job. You've got to win over votes. It's not enough to say, oh, the Conservatives are done. That's it. Job done, guys. Close the book on this one. Mission accomplished. Great work. You still got to win people's votes here. And they're just not doing that. All you do is create apathy in the system.
There are other things, aren't they, that don't cost money? You used to believe in abolishing the House of Lords. That was recently then delayed and not a first-term priority. That's you are standing on a platform promising change, so people will have expectations of serious change.
Yes, I mean I think the big choice going into this election really is to stop the chaos of the last 14 years.
You can't just keep saying that. You can't say, oh, it's been chaotic, we're going to get rid of it. It's like, you have to offer policies. Well, no, not you have to, because this lot are going to win based on nothing. But you should offer policies. You should at least try to inspire voters. Or maybe I'm the one who's wrong here. Maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you say, oh, well, you know, we're good because we're not those guys. Not in the two-party first. Yeah, you're not wrong. Maybe I'm the one who's wrong here. Am I so out of touch? Because honestly, they're going to win without doing anything. Because this is ridiculous. You've said you'll abolish the House of Lords, right? They're not going to do that. And they're being questioned on it. And they're saying, look, we're here to stop the chaos. It's like, how? How are you going to stop it? If Labour be vague and non-committal, they can claim they never promised stuff in office. And that's why they changed pledges and missions into first steps. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I agree with that. The thing is, right, they're going to have to publish a manifesto, and we're going to have to see what's in it. Because if not, they're going to get grilled on it. Because there is a line here. If they come out and if they want this big stomping majority, if they come out and offer nothing, chances are people just won't turn out to vote. And that puts them in kind of a precarious position, given that they want their biggest majority they can possibly get. Presenting policies is a bad idea. In the UK, it's not necessarily. Like, I don't think presenting policies is necessarily a dangerous idea. The Labour Party have done that, but you got to give voters something. You got to answer questions at least, and they're not doing that. I guess they learned from Boris Johnson. You could just say, yeah, you know, they might as well run with the slogan "End the chaos," vote Labour, end the chaos. That'll probably be their slogan. Maybe it's too many words. I don't know. But this more from Bridget Phillipson. I mean, it's just bad.
Really, really tough, and our universities are facing enormous challenges, and the answers are not straightforward. And if I were to say to you, this is easy and the options are clear and straightforward, I don't think you would believe that. We've ended up in a situation where, because tuition fees have been frozen over an extended period of time, that means that universities are increasingly struggling to cover the cost of tuition. Now,
by the way, gang, we're halfway through the stream, so if you want to pick up any memberships or if you want to do any super chats, feel free to do so. I would greatly appreciate that.
International students that come to this country who make it their home for a limited period make an enormous contribution to our towns and cities. I'm sure you all see it here. I see it in Sunderland, where I'm an MP. But those international students increasingly are cross-subsidising the education of domestic students because of the situation.
I mean, the real question is, what are the universities spending their money on? They get £9,000 a year per student. How come the universities in Scotland are doing okay when they get far less money? How does that make any sense?
That we've ended up in. The challenge alongside that, however, is that our young people, when they leave university, now have a system which, as of September just gone, is even more regressive than it once was. So a nurse ends up paying more. Someone who earns a big salary working in the city pays
but what's
less.
your answer? You say the answers are not simple, and I'm sure they're not. But you'd like to be in power in a couple of months, so you're going to have to find some. So how would you help universities get more money?
So from opposition, again, to be totally upfront about this, from opposition, it is genuinely very difficult to grapple.
So you haven't got an answer again.
All right, let's nix this clip and we'll post this on.
You haven't got an answer again. You're adopting the answer again.
Hang on, let Bridget speak. Let Bridget speak.
She literally has though. She's avoided the question completely. She's like, well, you know, this guys, you know, this topic is really complicated, and you know, I'm in opposition. You know, what kind of, you know, I can't really give an answer for you guys now. That's the problem. So you know, there's loads of options. It's really complicated. But look, guys, you know, I don't know. I'm struggling here. It's garbage. It's such a garbage answer. Scottish unis are spending money in school, and not Tory politicians, potentially. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I don't know how much the Scottish higher-ups get paid at universities, but I'll tell you, some of the ones in England, right, are making about 200+ K a year, plus expenses, plus living arrangements, plus food, etc. So yeah, you know, so some of these people in charge of the university are making an absolute fortune, whilst the professors and stuff, some of them aren't making that much money, anywhere near the amount of money they should be making when it's the professors who generate the money.
Look, the modelling around this is really complicated in terms of the outcomes. I am determined that we can deliver a more progressive system without any more spending or borrowing, but from the system that we have at the moment for students.
So you're talking about redistribution. So you're talking about redistributing money then. If you're not going to generate more money through borrowing or spending more money, you're going to have to redistribute money somehow, and you're going to have to explain how that's going to work.
As Shadow Education Secretary, Bridget, you must have thought about
out there.
things.
You can go and look at where that absolutely can be delivered. The other part of the answer, in terms of what we can do around investing more money directly into our universities, is to support them around spin-outs, around research, and around the business impact that they can have.
They already do tons of research for businesses and things. You know, Southampton, I think, one's the most revered ones for doing that. They already do stuff like that. This is honestly, this is an embarrassing answer. Embarrassing. Like, they can't give a straight answer. They're just waffling. Just honestly, just trying to fill up the airtime, make it sound like they've got something plausible.
But
what does that mean, support? Does that mean give them money? What does that mean?
It means encouraging them to be involved in wider activity that they can then reinvest in their institution.
Like what? And this lady's like, what the hell is she talking about?
But we've had 14
This guy we've got a clip of him later. It's pretty funny.
years where things have got progressively worse, and there are so many pressures on the public finances. We've heard this evening, from water to the NHS to education and university.
Well, let's stick with education just for a minute. You're Shadow Education Secretary.
Yeah.
If you win the election, I'm assuming you want to be Education Secretary, would you raise tuition fees?
That is a really, really unpalatable choice. I do not want to have to do that.
We've seen this bit already. It's just, this is crazy, guys. This is crazy. She spoke for about 2 minutes there, gave absolutely zero answers as to what her plans are. That's wild. That's like Conservative levels of filibustering. That is actually Tory levels of filibustering, I'll be honest. Like, that's so bad. Imagine being a student watching that as well. You know, if I was just about to go to university and I saw that, thank you, Stu. I think the conformer self-servitives will be better. I think that's too long. We're working on it. I think I like the reformatives. I think that's the name I would go for if I were them. The reformatives. It sounds like something that would be in Transformers, like the Autobots, Decepticons, and the reformatives. There'd be one of the groups in the Transformers series. Let's see, the Tories have left an awful mess too, though. They have that is true, but again, like with the uni fees, right? They hiked them from £3,000 to £9,000 per student per year. International students are paying, I think, like £13,000 per year, right? Where is all the money going to if the system was working, you know, in 2010 when fees were about £3,000? How has it suddenly become a problem? This from Big Cooper.
A lot of European countries are having to pursue some pretty drastic measures as well. If you want to dramatically cut the figures, as you say you do, you'll have to consider something pretty similar. I mean, processing people overseas is something you said you'll look at. Is that still official policy? In which case, are you going to tell the voters?
Well, there have always been different kinds of, I think people call it offshore processing and so on. For example, the Homes for Ukraine scheme. For example, the old Dublin Agreement. But I would just still come back.
She talking about Dublin 3, because Dublin 3 wasn't about processing, was it? It was about returning, kind of asylum seekers back to the country that they, one of the countries they passed through. Like, for example, we could send people back to France. So I don't know if she's talking about Dublin 3 there, because that's not what Dublin 3 does, I think. It's not about processing people abroad, I think.
Unless you have a proper plan to go after the criminal gangs, it doesn't matter what else you do, because the criminal gangs have become an entire industry in effectively making huge profits from putting lives at risk, and that industry will just adapt unless you go after the gangs. So that's why our Border Security Command that we would set up with up to 1,000 additional border security.
I hate when they use migrants and when they're talking about channel crossings. It doesn't make sense. You're conflating different things.
Intelligence and cross-border police officers would be a crucial part of going after those gangs and having new counter-terror powers to be able to work.
All right, we're going to close the poll, guys, because it's driving me nuts. I can see it on the right side, the left side of my eye.
With other countries as well.
And you don't think the government's trying to go after the gangs? I mean, that Border Security Command, a key one of your 6 pledges. You talk about change, you're the party of change. In actual fact, it's very similar to what the government's trying to do.
Yeah, that's true, actually. How are you going to try and find these people? How are you going to pay for it? That's another question. How are they going to pay for it? I think they're going to cancel the Rwanda scheme.
They're already involving the Navy, for example. You talk about involving the military.
So actually it's not. And there have been a series of independent reports that have said our border security is really fragmented. You have all these different agencies and they actually don't work effectively together, and there's no proper leadership. So that's why we would learn from the work the last Labour government did, and to be fair, this government carried on counter-terrorism, where you bring all those agencies together, proper strategy, proper single leadership, with a new border security commander. We'd give it additional resources, substantially more resources than the government's doing, because we would not be funding this extortionately expensive Rwanda scheme, and we'd give them new powers to go after the criminal gangs.
Would you even be able to get the money back that we pay to Rwanda, though?
And new agreements with other European countries on...
Lol, good luck with that one. Good luck with getting new agreements with other European countries, given that France played. France was saying go speak to the EU about, returns agreements and stuff. So, yeah, good luck with that, Chief.
Security cooperation. All those are major differousness to the really small-scale work.
Busting gangs, another gang will appear. Yeah, exactly. The key is safe routes of entry, but they don't want to do that.
You would do if you get to that position on economic growth. Would you scrap the 2-child benefit cap?
Well, in an ideal world, of course, but we haven't got the resources to do it at the moment. What I will do, because child poverty is something
They can literally raise the top tax rate. They could raise the top tax rate, and that will help.
absolutely set against. The last Labour government had an anti-child poverty strategy, and we managed to do a huge amount of good stuff on child poverty. We will do the same thing and have a child poverty strategy.
But it's not going to be enough when we're told the most effective way to eradicate child poverty is getting rid of the two-child cap. The most effective way is getting rid of the two-child cap. So for the government for the Labour Party to not get rid of it tells me they're not serious about eradicating two-child poverty. And I know what Morehouse has said. He was like, Labour can do other things to cut child poverty. If they get rid of universal credit, that will inherently get rid of the two-child cap. But I think that's a bogus argument. That's cope. That's cope right there. Not getting rid of it, the two-child benefit cap is really bad. Yeah, it is.
But there are other elements to it. I mean, if you look across the country, particularly in my constituency in London, child poverty and housing are tied up together. Child poverty and the cost of living and the way the economy is run are tied up together. All of that needs to be brought together.
But you see, this...
Adil Ray, I think, asked Sir Saintly about reinstalling safe and legal routes into targeting gangs, which was Starmer's no business can operate without any customers. Yeah, I don't. Why does this keep flicking between pages? That don't make sense. Yeah, I mean that's the whole point, isn't it? But like Labour are going to push this tough on crime, tough on the causes of crime, but they're going to put tough on channel crosses, tough on those helping them across the channel, rather than creating safe routes of entry, and that way you take away their business. Like, it's the obvious answer, but for whatever reason, the Knight doesn't believe in that.
This particular policy,
I accept it's a challenge we'll have to rise to.
Okay, but this particular policy is one I'm sure you would acknowledge that is causing real hardship for families. Scottish Labour is against it. Gordon Brown is against it. People again might
I mean, with Scottish Labour as well, they're going to be if they're the ones that are put in charge of Holyrood, they're going to have a really they're going to be put in a really awkward position there, because at the moment Scotland doesn't have the 2-child cap. So if the guys in Holyrood, if say Labour win or become the biggest party in Holyrood, would they have to bring in the 2-child cap? Because then otherwise they'll be treated better than people in England, and people in England will see that. Or are they going to keep it in place and make the central party in London look completely stupid? Which one? What's it going to be?
Understand that the world is never likely to be ideal, but if you secured the highest sustained growth in the G7, which is one of those core missions, would you do it?
Well, in an ideal world, we'll be able to do that, and we do. I mean, I'll be clear.
The 2-child cap's only been around, I think, since Theresa May came in. I think May was the one who introduced it. That was kind of that was meant to be post the era of austerity. Now, the idea we can't afford it, when that'll put money, getting rid of the cap will put money back into the economy as well. It's complete garbage. And this cap does have a cost, guys. It does have a cost, because more children grow up in poverty means they won't achieve the grades that they should, even though Big Wesley was talking about equality of opportunity effectively earlier. It comes with a societal cost, it comes with the economic cost later, because they won't do as well as they should have done. And that has a knock-on effect. They won't get the jobs that they could have gotten if they had a more stable upbringing. If they could actually afford to eat properly, they wouldn't have to worry about lunches and things like that. They can actually focus more in school, get better grades, and also grow up healthy as well. So they won't grow up with as many health problems. It's just bad, guys. Honestly, it's just absolutely awful, this lot. And then there's a caller who actually called LBC about it.
Well, I've heard him answer both of those, and I don't know whether you heard him today offer support.
I did hear him this morning, and that actually had me shouting at the radio, I'm afraid. And I normally only do that for conservatives,
for right-wing people. So
well, I guess that means it must be the policies might be right-wing, or maybe the Knight is.
His argument is that we're going to inherit a terrible economic situation, and the 2-child cap, as well as the tuition fees things, are simply not something we can afford in the first term. So I'd give him the benefit of the doubt on that.
Yeah, what really got to me this morning, James, was when he was asked when he was pressed on it. He said, he went through some things that they were doing around, to sort of shift the scenery on that issue.
Yes.
But he then said, we have a child poverty strategy. And I thought that was straight out of the Tory playbook, really.
Yeah.
Oof. That's the part with the bite there, really, because that's what the Conservatives say. I want to get rid of child poverty. And then, I wouldn't be surprised, because what the Tories will say after that is we need to encourage the parents back into work. And that way they wouldn't have to, claim benefits, stuff like that. This is straight out of the Conservative Party playbook. Starmer has no principles other than winning. That's the problem, exactly. Exactly, that's I've played this clip so many times now, and I'll keep playing it. But this is so accurate.
I fail to see the logic here.
This is the most accurate clip.
Senate. The price to pay for power.
Is sanity the price to pay for power? It's just we keep going back to that point, and it keeps when I did that long video last year, the long essay video about the Labour anti-protest bills and whatever, we kept coming back to that same point: is sanity the price to pay for power? And we kept coming back to the same answer. The Labour Party have happily paid it. They have paid sanity. They have paid their sanity in terms of policy positions. The question is, are they actually going to get power?
Where you obfuscate by talking about a strategy rather than saying, this is a real issue we've got to deal with, because there are children now, parents making choices about which ones they can feed when.
Yes.
And I just, my wife, I've always been a Labour supporter. From, we used to live in the 70s in Lewisham. We canvassed, I walked the streets, I did all sorts of stuff. And
it's like the great Senator Armstrong said, making the mother of all omelettes here, Jack. Can't fret over every egg. That's literally the mentality these people have.
We've moved out to Leithy, Surrey, and we've got Failing Grayling as our
Well, yeah, he's a big Starmer fanboy. It might be best to avoid seeking sanity in general election. The proof of a pudding is in eating, but you have to. What? You have to get it first. I don't know, bro. Like, it's just given the ingredients that are going into this pudding, I'm not that comfortable eating it. I'll be honest.
But
that's just me.
So-called. It's not easy here really to persuade anybody of anything, and they all, they look at us strangely over their telegrams. But we have a very good life, but I do not like the idea that we can kind of neutralise those serious issues about child poverty.
Is it?
Yeah, it's made of poverty and tears.
Possible that he...
Hello, Tim Davies, or Davis, I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
...is prioritising the pursuit of the people looking at you askance over their daily telegraphs than
Quite
he is
possibly,
on the votes of people like you.
As with the Gaza thing, sorry, James.
Yeah.
As with the Gaza thing, it is, it's something you lose. It's, that's not just about, Palestinians or Arabs or any ethnicity issues. That is also about people like us who say, "Ooh, I'm not comfortable with that." And it's not, I want anybody. We will support Labour. We will support Starmer.
Right.
I think the man has enormous integrity.
Does he though? Given the 2 points you just made there, does he have integrity? I don't know.
But I think that area of lack of judgment in those issues is really making, I just feel a bit queasy. We will go out. We've decided what we've got to do. We've got to contact the local party, do some stuff here. But, it's just my enthusiasm for it is...
What a thoughtful contribution. Thank you. Well, I've heard him...
I don't know why he's cut him off. The guy was still cooking. The guy was still cooking, and James was like, "Oh, what a great contribution." He wasn't finished. He's not happy to... He isn't even that happy to vote Labour. He'll do it maybe to get rid of the Tories, but, if Labour don't get up to much in that term, I don't think that guy will vote for Labour again, I'll be honest. Because they don't... He clearly doesn't really want to do it. And if Starmer offers him little, like if he's still bad on international politics, if he's still bad on child poverty, why would that person vote for him again? I don't know. I think he was saying in the part of the video like he's very lucky to maybe have the lifestyle he does, but he clearly cares about other people. He's empathetic. He's empathetic towards them. He has empathy for them, which is good. A very human trait. One of the a very positive human trait to have. But point being is like, it looks like James Brown is like, this is getting a bit too deep here. I'm going to have to cut you off.
I know you understand.
Honestly. But yeah, that I think that's the Labour segment done. Yeah, that's the... do you know what? There was one more, actually, I wanted for Labour. Oh, that's annoying. I wanted to get the one where one of the Labour goons was getting cooked on it. Oh, do you know what? I've messed up the order, that's why. It's a good thing I saw this during the stream. Sort of frazzled me during the video. There was one. There's one I wanted actually.
Owned.
Oops. One sec, guys. I'm just trying to see if I can find the clip quickly. Oh, I don't think I'll find it. What's this? That's the Tory guy. I think I already got that one. That's something I wanted to talk about in the Starmer clip. That's annoying. Oh well. And the Sunak clip even, but oh well. Let's see.
There are other things, aren't they, that don't...
I think we listened to this one already.
Stop the chaos of the...
Yeah, so I think this one will go with that.
We want to grow the economy so we can
When is the world
absolutely
ideal?
Put the money where it's needed.
What you would do if you get to that position on economic growth, would you scrap the two-child benefit cap?
Well, in an ideal world, of course, but we haven't got the resources to do it at the moment. What I will do, because child poverty is something I'm absolutely set against. The last Labour government had an anti-child poverty...
This is one I think we had as well.
Secured the highest sustained growth in the G7, which is one of those core missions. Would you do it?
Well, in an ideal world, we'll be able to do that, and we do. I mean, I'll be clear: we want to grow the economy, so we can.
When is the world ideal?
I think it's just a battering this man's taken. Honestly, it's just an absolute beating that I think he's going to struggle a lot. We're going to switch to David Cameron. There's one where one of the Labour goons was asked about Starmer's broken promises, and he just struggled. Victoria Derbyshire just honestly, it was brutal. But we're going to switch gears. I think these are individual clips I want to play from here on.
Why should voters trust you when it comes to net migration in terms of bringing it down? Yeah. Let me go through all the Tory pledges on this. 2010, Mr Cameron promised in the election campaign he'd bring net migration down to tens of thousands per year. Did that happen?
Well, it's quite clear that's not what's happened.
Right, 2015.
Oof. He's got the I'm in danger face.
In Conservative manifesto, the pledge was reiterated. Did that happen?
Well, I think we've also seen huge, big changes.
Did that happen?
No, it clearly didn't.
2017.
Someone call this man an ambulance.
Theresa May reiterated the tens of thousands pledge. Did that happen?
No.
2019 Conservative manifesto.
Victoria, you can go through all of these, and it's quite clear that we haven't achieved what we'd like to achieve.
It's really important because you've made this promise at every single election, and in fact, you've delivered the complete opposite. Because of policies you've implemented, the numbers have gone up and up.
Stop. He's already dead.
And up. So I ask again, why should voters believe you this time?
I think in some areas, I mean, one of the big things that we saw, obviously, during that...
This is a fatality right here. This is actually... That's the end of that man's career, to be honest with you. This one is going to be... sorry, guys. I've just got to move some of these around. That was a fatality right there, honestly. Hit him with a perfect
problem, which is why we're implementing the Rwanda scheme in order.
She's probably, out of the news people, she's probably one of the better ones. I'd say she's probably. I think I put it in the top 5, but I couldn't tell you who my top 5 was. Probably Krishnam. Krishnam's in the top 5. Derbyshire's in the top 5. I think Ridge was in the top 5, but she kind of fumbled a few of them. I'm trying to think who else is actually quite good. Ben Chu doesn't do interviews, but I reckon he'd be good, I got a feeling Ben Chu would be quite good. But yeah, I think, Tim Davis, Ridge is Goddle. Ridge isn't that bad. Alright, let's look at the facts, yeah? Let's look at the facts. Okay, who are you comparing Ridge to? You got Kay Burley, who's good at times and really bad at times. Really, really bad. You've got Rigby, who's pretty bad. Who else? You've got Koonsberg, who's really bad. You've got... I don't even know how many other interviews we have in the country. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think Ridge is that bad. She was pretty good at one point, but I don't know what's happened.
To provide an effective deterrent.
You're not. Will you have sent any asylum seeker on a flight to Rwanda before the election?
Let me answer your first question. Yes, we have. Yes, we have. And we've passed that legislation in Parliament already.
Big deal. Rishi Sunak said today...
It is a big deal, because it's going to happen.
What is going to happen?
The flights are going to go to Rwanda.
Not before the election, they're not?
Well, maybe not, but we have...
maybe not. Are you saying they might?
We have passed the legislation to make it happen.
She's so done with his nonsense at this point, this is the bit in the interrogation where they pull out all the facts and he's like, it's so over. It's so over.
You just questioned whether or not we had done. Of course we've taken action there. Every time we've tried to pursue clampdowns on illegal migration, we've been...
Passing legislation is one thing. It's then actually got to work.
I agree with you.
Sorry, let's just be clear. Are you saying flights will take off before the election with asylum seekers?
No, I didn't say that, no.
Right.
But we've passed the legislation, which is a fundamental thing that you need to do in order to be able to do it. Labour have opposed everything we've done in this space, voted well over 130 times.
Makes no difference whether they oppose it or not. There will be no flights before the election.
It does make a difference.
Rishi Sunak has called the election before he can show that the plan is working.
Well, with respect...
Someone please, this man's going to have his obituary at this rate. This is... Wow, he just got absolutely battered in 2 different clips. This is abysmal. This is like nothing personal, kid, honestly.
Victoria.
Fiona Bruce, but she's not I wouldn't say she does interviews, but it's old Brucey.
It does make a difference because actually it shows a very clear choice at the election which is coming up between...
What, no flights with Keir Starmer and no flights with Rishi Sunak?
It's very clear.
I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm finished. I'm sorry, guys. I'm dead. I'm just. Oh man. Fucking. Oh my god. She hit him with the alt combination finish. Honestly. Oh my god. That was. Wow. I don't think we've seen a fatality. I've had to take my glasses off, guys. I don't think I've seen a fatality that bad. Honestly. Wow, this man took a beating right here. He took a beating. Like, this is like, wow. I can't remember the last time I saw a beating this bad, bro. I'll be honest, guys. Like, this was a fatality right here. This was like, I'll tell you, this is the closest thing. She might as well have just done this to him, honestly, at this point. She hit him with one of these. Where's the clip gone? She hit him with this. Honestly. Oh, let me find the English version. Is this the English one? I'm just looking for Street Fighter ults at this point because that's how done it is. That's how over this is. Honestly. She hit him with one of these. Honestly. Honestly, that was whoops. That's how brutal this thing was. She hit him with the ult finish. Honestly, that was no flights under Rishi Sunak, no flights under Keir Starmer, and wow, honestly.
With respect, Victoria, it does make a difference because actually it shows a very clear choice at the election which is coming up between...
What, no flights with Keir Starmer and no flights with Rishi Sunak?
No, it's very clear, you're absolutely right. There will be no flights with Keir Starmer because he said he'll cancel...
There will be any flights with Rishi Sunak. He said that today.
No, we've literally said, we win the... You know, this is our Rwanda scheme, right? We vote Conservative in the election, there will be flights to Rwanda. There will be a proper deterrent there. In this as a...
It's just wild. Like, I don't think there'll be any fights after the election. Anyways, I don't think I think there'll be more court cases. There'll be more court cases. I mean, she just put this one in the top bins. Honestly, like this is a 3-point buzzer beater in basketball. It's like to win the game. It's not even that, bro. It's like she's like 30 points up and still hitting threes. Like, it's just crazy. Just crazy, honestly. This one is irrelevant. We'll nix it. It's just more. It just keeps getting worse. From honestly, they're just getting cooked on TV. It's just crazy.
But Andrew, while Rishi Sunak has been running the country in one way or another, we've had record levels.
Of course, he was Chancellor as well for a while.
Of taxation, recession, sluggish growth, painfully high levels of inflation, topping 11%, with food inflation reaching highs.
That's true. Laura Kuenssberg's pretty open with it. She's pretty, like, you can see it after a couple of interviews, maybe a few hours of watching her content, you realise, like, damn, she clearly team blue. Damn, you can see it like that. Like with the other ones, they hide it a bit. They're like, oh, maybe I'll ask the Tories a couple of tough questions. Can't make it too easy for them. But with Kuenssberg, it's like, so Boris Johnson, tell me why you're the greatest to ever do it and why you're Winston Churchill reborn. And she'll be like to Labour, oh yeah, you bought a pen for Parliament, how are you going to pay for it? That's the difference. Leadsom is gone. Any interviews with her? Do you know what? I think I had like a supercut of Andrea Leadsom clips. There was one where she debated with Pascal Lamy. I remember his name because I got it wrong last time. I called him David Lamy and people laughed at me in the comments. She debated Pascal Lamy on WTO rules even though he's the former head of the WTO. So there's that.
As of 19%. Is that really an economic record you're going to fight an election on?
Well, we've come through this very difficult period. No one's making...
Who's the MP for Croydon South?
Any bones about that. As I say, it's really important we don't remove the context. We are at a position of security in Europe that no one's seen. No one's seen for a generation, really since, we'll go back in a few weeks' time.
I'm not going to lie, yeah, bro, we're not fighting in the war, so I don't know why you've had to increase taxation, why we've gone through a recession. Like, we are not directly involved in this war. Like, all the weapons we are sending them is generally older weapons anyways. Like, these are stockpiles we had for a while. Like, like this idea that, this war is costing us a fortune is simply untrue.
Celebrate the sacrifice that people made at D-Day. Not since that period have we had that level of economic challenge and headwind. In that, we've nevertheless delivered. We've reduced inflation, which is the cost of living is the...
You haven't reduced inflation. If you had reduced it, it'd be called deflation. You've reduced the rate of it, the rate of the increase, but it's still way higher than it was.
Cost of people's prices, the rate of growth has now...
But prices are still rising, but they're just
still
rising more slowly.
Still rising, but
Yep, that's true. And the inflation rate is still higher than the Bank of England's 2% target as well.
Rate of growth has reduced back into the target level for the Bank of England.
Yeah.
It's not, though, because the Bank of England's target, as far as I'm aware, is 2%. And I think inflation's at like 2.3 to 2.6. So it's simply not true, especially when the Bank of England play games with the basket of goods anyways.
Joint fastest growing economy in the G7. So we're in a pack of other similar like...
They can't use the economy anymore. They're trying, to be fair. They are trying to do it. We'll do a couple more because I need to go off in a minute. But I did want to ask, what is the point of GB Energy?
How much cheaper will our bills be under a Labour government? 5%, 10%? What will it mean?
Well, we want to, as you rightly say, set up Great British Energy. That's a publicly funded, a publicly owned company, which...
Why did he correct himself there so quickly? Publicly owned company. Yeah, it will be publicly owned as far as I'm aware, but it'll be there with private money, which I'm not, I'd rather it be fully publicly owned, to be honest with you, because, again, private companies are going to want dividends and such, and they're going to want it to be more profit-driven, but as long as the government owns 51% of the shares, it's not a complete disaster, I guess.
She's owned by the taxpayer, making money for the taxpayer by investing in clean British power. Now, clean British power is, renewables, which is about a third of the price of fossil fuels at the moment, and that ought to bring down the household bills by about £400.
Now, riddle me this, gang, right? And I could be wrong about this. How is this going to work? Because isn't the energy sold according to the global energy price? Like, isn't that the reason why Shell and the rest of the gang have gotten away with price gouging the consumer? Because of the international price of energy. So how is this going to work? Like, are you gonna sell the energy to the British consumer? Like, how are you going to use this to subsidise the cost of energy? I don't get it, because obviously France forced EDF to cap the price of energy, right? So how is this going to work? Like, I don't get it. Like, do you guys know in the comments? Like, genuinely, I'm asking, as a content creator to his audience, right? How is it going to work? How is this going to reduce the energy? If say, for example, this company GB Energy owns the I don't know, the wind turbines or whatever, right? The nuclear power plants or whatever. How is that going to lower the energy cost? Can someone please? I can see how it would make the government money. I can see how it would make the government money. I don't get how. We'll say wind turbines, Ruth. Okay, we'll say they make the money through, I don't know, wind turbines, solar. Maybe they own a nuclear power plant, right? Like EDF owns nuclear power plants, right? They own a nuclear power plant, right? So how is that going to lower the cost of energy for households, unless they're going to sell the energy at the market rate and then use that money to subsidise the cost of energy? I don't get it. So yeah, if you guys could let me know on that one, I'd actually be pretty grateful, because I don't get it.
For each bill, but that's a permanent drop. This is the big difference, I think. Everybody, I think, supports the energy price caps because we desperately needed those in the last year and a half.
Also, where did he get this £400 figure from as well? Like, what's the levels of investment going to be needed to get the bills down by £400?
Energy prices went through the roof, but they're sticking plasters.
Tariffs from the taxpayer. So you're talking about the taxes? The energy levy. Is that what you're talking about? Is that how it's going to make the money, through the levy? So essentially, the government's going to set up an energy company that's going to make money through the levy on green energy. Is that it? Because I don't see how it could generate enough to cut £400 from energy bills for everyone in the country. Because is that just Great Britain, or is that the United Kingdom as well? GB Energy is going to be taxpayer funded. The tax fund where there is no money left due to fiscal... Yeah, true. So you're telling me that they're going to make enough money from the green energy levy or a tax to lower energy bills by that much? How much energy is this company going to generate? Like, I'm serious now. Like, it's going to have to generate like a serious amount of energy. Serious amounts. We're talking nuclear power levels of energy in order to make enough money from tax. That's my aunt in the chat. But yeah, it's going to have to generate some serious cash, serious energy in order to do this. So it's kind of wild. It's kind of wild to me, I'll be honest. So I don't know, guys. I need to know how this is going to work. You know, I like the idea of it, I'll be honest. The idea of GB Energy, I think the name is a bit right-wing to appeal to kind of those kind of people. But, you know, how's this going to work? Guaranteed bailouts every 10 years. Oof.
Stings, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's a painful one, that one. Yeah, I suspect it's a way of subsidising cost to consumers via taxation. That's possible, but this is what I mean. Like, there's not been any explanation as to what GB Energy is. All we do is we keep hearing about it. They talk and they talk and they talk, but there's no explanation. I don't get it.
In a sense, they cost a lot of money. They're a short-term fix.
What's this?
In a sense, they desperately needed those in the last year. I think everybody, supports the energy price caps because we.
All right, okay, the caps, yeah. Because again, like, why would? Well, I guess they did actually call for windfall tax. It's hard to criticise them on this point specifically.
Desperately needed those in the last year and a half when the
We'll go for another 10 minutes, guys, and then I've got to jump off.
Energy prices went through the roof, but they're sticking plasters in a sense. They cost.
Let's not do that. Let's not base GB Energy in Scotland.
A lot of money. They're a short-term fix. The long-term fix is to have.
It is a route towards renationalisation, but we don't know. We have no idea what this thing's even going to do.
Have Great British Energy to invest in clean British power and bring down our bills for good. It also gives us a couple of other advantages, which is that we have energy security because.
Again, like all of this stuff, like it's important. Having energy security, lowering bills, etc. No worries, Wolfpack. But like. How's this? I don't get how does this work. That's what I mean. Like how's this going to generate the money? Like they put out this whole ad, right? And I still don't get it after watching this.
Why
I do like the music they have on, but I don't think that the person they got to do the voiceover is the best.
Does Labour want to set up
It sounds too TikToky. I don't like it.
Great British Energy, a new publicly owned.
The beat goes hard though.
Clean power company. Oil and gas companies have made record profits, while your energy bills have soared and people have suffered through the cost of living crisis.
The mix isn't great either, guys. Like, whoever did the audio mix for this did not do a good job.
And that's why Keir Starmer wants to launch Great British Energy, as part of his first steps towards delivering our missions. Great British Energy will be a new, publicly owned clean power company.
God damn, even the graphics are... Damn, like this is someone TikTok inspired made this. I mean, yeah, honestly, right, the music goes hard. I'm not gonna lie, like, I'm actually in love with this beat. But whoever did the voiceover and whoever did the graphics for this, they need to go.
To cut bills for good and boost energy security, paid for by a windfall tax on oil and gas giants making record profits.
So that doesn't really answer what GB Energy is. Like, they're gonna let's go back. Let's actually look at this video properly. So. They talk about the gas and energy companies, right? So they talk about this, bills have soared, suffered through, cost of living, wants to launch Great British Energy, his first steps, right? Okay, there's my goat right there. There's my goat. Okay. So they talk about the clean power company, boost energy security, paid for
by a windfall tax on oil and gas giants.
And obviously windfall taxes are temporary. So you're going to windfall tax these companies, you're going to put this money into GB Energy, and what are they going to do with it? It's actually... work they have guaranteed over 50% of the public ownership for the full lifetime of the company. Okay, that's good. For it to actually work, yeah, that's true. They have to have 51% minimum, like like how German football clubs work. 50 plus 1 rule. That's what they need. They need 51%.
Making record profits. GB Energy will reap the benefits of Britain's natural resources with clean power projects in communities across our country, to lower bills for good and create the next generation of good jobs.
But how does it... I don't get it. How does it lower the bills, though, guys? Like, am I being stupid here? Like, genuinely, right? I'm asking you guys, like, a genuine question. Am I being stupid? Like, how are you going to use this to reduce energy bills? Because it's going to be sold on the international market, right? The energy is going to be sold on the international market, right? If I remember correctly, that's what the energy companies have done. So how are they going to use this energy to lower the cost. Like, I know there was one town. Are you going to sell it to the national grid? Actually, that could be it. There was one. I mentioned this example once in a while, but there was a village in England somewhere that used their money to buy a wind turbine, and they sold their energy back to the national grid, and that village makes like a decent money, and they use that to invest it back. See, village who brought a wind turbine. Oops. Pickering Windmills, is it? No. Here it is. Yeah, Opus Energy. This is it. Yeah. I think this is the article. Is this it? This could be this. Bear with me, guys. A wind turbine owned by hundreds of people across the years being built in Wales. 97. Okay, there's two different stories here around this. So I think this is one. So let's see. In 2013, a group of people in the village of Gamlingay, Cambridgeshire, I thought I said Wales, set up their own wind turbine for the village. Like all good ideas, started with a conversation, blah blah blah. All right, so I think this is the story. I mention it once every few years, right, or a few months. So let's see. It's great to see how the turbine is improving things across the village, long-lasting things like floodlights, football pitches, etc. See. The initial reason for setting up the turbine was to reduce the impact on the environment. There have also been numerous benefits to the village. We set up the contract for Opus Energy to buy the energy generated from the turbine. See, so unless this company is going to sell the energy to one of the companies, right? How is this? Do you guys see my confusion? I'm gonna put a poll in the chat, right? Right, I'm gonna put another poll up in the chat, right? And I'm gonna ask you guys. Whoops, knocked over my soundboard. It's in a really awkward spot. I keep bashing into it, but I never did before. It's so strange. Okay, here we go, guys. Here we go. Oh, I'm bashing over everything. Jesus Christ. Okay, let's ask another poll. Okay, there it is. Do you... Okay, there's another poll in the chat, guys, for you guys to answer. Because this is the only way I can see it working, is they do something like this. And that means another tab will open on my computer. Yay! So many tabs. How's my task manager doing? Woof. That's not good. Okay. That's scary, guys. That is scary. Okay. Anyways, we'll go on. So this is... Sorry, we'll carry on with the dubstep rave. Let's see.
Industrialising Britain. But how will it do this? GB Energy will lower bills by investing in homegrown renewable energy.
Oh, maybe I should have watched to the end of the video, guys. I don't know.
Which is cheaper than fossil fuels. It will create jobs across Britain through investment and building domestic supply chains. And it will boost our energy security through homegrown power that gives us energy...
What? So, let's see, it will lower bills...
do this. GB Energy will lower bills by investing in homegrown renewable energy.
And do what with the energy? That don't make any sense. What? 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 This is so dumb. This is so dumb. Kieran, we don't mention tabs. It's like PFI with hospitals under Blair. They build it, own it, and we use it and pay for the profits. Yeah, what? This makes no sense. This makes... Oh my god. This makes no sense, right? They're gonna... Let's see. Look, this is the answer we've been looking for. They're gonna invest... by investing in renewable energy, they're gonna lower energy bills. Okay, buddy. Okay, I'm sure that's how it works, guys. I'm sure that's how it works. You know, clearly this village sold to Opus Energy based on the international rate. Based on whatever it would cost Opus to get the energy in.
Energy.
Yeah, you know, all you're doing is increasing the supply of energy, which will lower the rate of the international price, sure, but how does that help consumers directly? How's that going to save you £400? Is that £400 a quarter? £400 a year? How is that going to work exactly?
Which is cheaper than fossil fuels. It will create jobs across Britain through investment and building domestic supply chains.
I mean, this is good as long as you can build those supply chains, and you're not going to get tagged by WTO rules and stuff like that. This is good.
And it will boost our energy security through homegrown power that gives us energy.
We've already got multiple WTO cases against us from the EU over the construction of wind turbines anyway. So, what's a few more WTO cases, huh?
Energy independence from tyrants like Putin. The Tories' failure to do this is...
Again, like blaming Putin for the energy crisis in the UK is nonsense, when it wasn't really Putin that caused it, because we don't buy that much energy from Germany. It's because we refuse to put proper windfall taxes and subsidies in place to help people. That's why we're in the mess we're in. Other countries are not paying anywhere near the energy prices we are. We're getting taken for mugs by the energy companies. Imagine if you take out hedge funds, shareholders, and pension schemes, there's a lot more money. I don't know, bruv. I don't. The energy producers sold up market. I honestly, guys, I'm looking at this poll, and the 18% of you who have said that they understand how GB Energy works, right? So I'm going to put your money where your mouth is, yeah, and tell me exactly in the comments how it's going to work. I don't know who this mystery 18% are, right? But if you know, you should tell the rest of the class, because I don't know. And it's bad when the teacher doesn't know the answer, guys. That's all I'm going to say. A couple more.
What future do people want? Do they want a lower tax, higher growth, more dynamic future of the Conservative Party, which means you have a thriving economy to pay for the public services that we all want and support? Or do we want a high tax, low growth, union-dominated future with Labour that hasn't really changed and a leader who flip-flops all over the place? Now,
okay, that one's fair, but again, the rest of it I don't think is very fair.
Now, that is going to be the choice before the British people.
Well, it's interesting that you're pitching yourself as the low-tax party when taxes are at their highest level for 70 years.
Well, what I also said...
The way he paused. This is so great. This is great. The way he paused is like... Well...
was that we had to spend hundreds of billions pounds supporting the country during COVID.
This is great. Why should they vote for you? For lower taxes in the future. Taxes are record high. Benicophobia. No, he's not Benicophobia. No, that's a footballer. Bin Afolambi. I'm not sure actually. Let me Google him quick. Sorry, I did that. That was bad. I apologise for that. Bin Afolambi. Benicophobia, I think, is a footballer. Their names aren't even that similar, to be honest. Abimola Bim Afolomi. I'm not sure. That's. Yeah, it's rude. I don't know how to pronounce his name, I'll be honest. But he's a Tory MP, that's all that matters. Any foreign controlling ownership of a public utility would need to come with a firm requirement of allocation of profits, maintenance and development. That's true. Okay, we'll go for... This will be the last one.
Conservative, specifically from the mindset of a younger person.
Because we believe in freedom, we believe in low taxes, which are really important to young people. We believe in building houses that are affordable. We've built 500,000 affordable houses since 2010. We're making...
You've built 500,000 houses affordable houses since 2010. I just don't think I would have mentioned it. I don't think that's anything to be proud of.
Sure, people have jobs. 4.2 million more jobs in the economy than there were in 2010.
And those people can't afford houses generally, so that's great.
1.2 million fewer people unemployed. All these things are really important to young people and the opportunities that they bring.
But so is the youth centres. You've closed 750 of them. So are tuition.
I'm guessing. Because, honestly, I think he's about to get torched here.
Fees, you've trebled them. So are class sizes in schools. They're at record high. So are mental health waiting lists, also at record highs. You've failed to build as many homes as you promised. You've now basically shelved rental reform too. There's not much there to suggest that young people should vote Conservative, is there?
Well, I don't agree with that. Listen, there are some challenges around the economy. There's no doubt mental health is a big crisis, even though we've increased real terms funding to the NHS for the last...
I mean, it's clearly not enough, and we need to look at where that money's actually going to. Is it going to the NHS to patients, or is that going to slush funds?
Last 5 years, by 13%, we put 100,000 more doctors and nurses into the system. Of course, there are massive demand pressures.
Also, how many have left? You put 100,000 in, how many have left the field? Because it's understaffed as is. We've covered stories before where nurse shifts are way lower. Messages, can't see it, maybe just tired.
That's about it, but if you want to look at some of the things we have delivered on with young children, primary school children in the UK, and now the best...
Yeah, primary school children in the UK are in schools that could collapse.
readers in the Western world. Significant improvement in 2010. 90% of schools are now rated good or outstanding. That was 68% in 2010. Many things we have delivered on. Of course, it is always work in progress in politics. We want to improve those opportunities, but there are limits in terms of the funding we have available. And tuition fees you mentioned. Well, we had Keir Starmer saying he was going to abolish tuition fees. There was going to be so much money available. But apparently now he's decided that's not the case. The reality is, apparently he hasn't managed to find a magic wand to go with his magic money tree. You know, this is the realities of life. The governors to choose. We have to make difficult choices.
I don't get it. What was the big pitch to young people apart from lower unemployment? Which again, a lot of these jobs don't pay well. Like I don't get it, gang. It just baffles me. But anyways, I'm gonna leave it there. Which is sad because we've got 38 people. We've kind of peaked around 35, 38 people, which is a good showing. But yeah, no, thanks everyone for turning up. Thanks Stu for the super chat. I know I keep saying I'll try and stream on Sundays, but it's bank holiday Monday, so I'll probably give it a go, to be honest with you. And the vast majority of the audience don't know how GB Energy works, which is fair because again I have no idea how it's going to work. So that's grand, but we're going to leave it there. I'll try and stream tomorrow. I've got like a load more tabs. I don't know how many of these videos I'm actually going to finish, I'll be honest, because there's so much stuff to cover. I've managed to get through like 3 today, like 3 actual videos, but I still got to upload them and edit and stuff. But like there's so much here. Like you guys seen how many stories I've covered, and there's still loads. These are all like the single ones, honestly. I was going to cover Starmer back in 16 years at the vote. Some of these videos are going to be like short, some are going to be long. So yeah, I'll figure out as I go. It's going to be a 6-week sprint anyways, but July 6th isn't that, July 4th isn't even that far, to be fair. So it's going to be a lot of hard work until then. I'm probably going to break after. But anyways, I'll catch you guys hopefully tomorrow. I'll do my best to stream tomorrow. If not, I'll catch you at some point soon, no doubt. Alright, cool gang. Bye.